Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm Gina.
And I'm Evo.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Today we are drinking, ladies and gentlemen.
Hoy se bebe. And for those of you that don't know, that's today we're drinking in Spanish.
Let's cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Thank you for the pretty ice cubes.
Oh, I gotta be fancy.
I have not had tequila in quite some time. That is refreshing. And I will say, I just read a meme yesterday that said a woman that could drink tequila straight or take shots straight and not make like that cringy face, watch out for her.
Yeah, I definitely think it has a lot to do
That's
with the
me.
type of tequila you're drinking too. You know, because if you, I don't know, I just feel like even myself, if you give me like some really cheap tequila, I'm gonna make a face. Like it's gonna come out from within. So
I have a technique for that.
Oh yeah.
I just want to say, for anybody that is listening to us and not watching, the ice cubes that are in our drink are shaped like balls. And I think that that's very appropriate because Evo put 2 balls in each of our drinks. And that starts off this episode perfectly because today we are talking about lies that men tell. And, you know, women like to say, these motherfuckers got some balls on them. So I feel like the balls are so appropriate. Did you do that intentionally?
No, definitely not. It was purely coincidental, but just, you know, I guess I just got some balls on me, I guess.
It falls right in line. And so the reason why I thought that this would be a fun topic to talk about, I mean, first and foremost, this is a show / podcast where we like to talk about things that are from a male and female perspective.
Yep.
That being said, this is part 1 of a 2-part series. Next week, we will be talking about lies that women tell. So, gentlemen, don't get your fucking underwears in a bunch thinking we're only going to bash you today.
Well, I mean, keeping it in tradition, shouldn't it be ladies first?
I mean, if we're talking about tradition, then isn't it the husband that gets introduced first when women and men get married? So let the man go first.
Touche. I'll give you that one. All right.
Because when we got married, they introduced us as Mr. and Mrs. Ivo Trinastic, like I didn't exist.
Yes, they did, and they fucked up my first name, but it's all good.
No, they didn't.
Miss Ivo Trinastic?
No. I'm jokingly said that. But no, our maitre d' pronounced your name right. He knew you very well.
Well, yeah. The way you just said it threw me off.
I'm sorry.
Maybe I didn't remember the way that they said it, and you're saying it correctly. So, like, for a second there, you had me confused.
I will say, though, at your brother's wedding, they did pronounce his
All right. On with the show.
So we decided to talk about lies that men tell, because what better than to have a man tell us all of the secrets and lies that men like to tell.
Well, you know, we're not going to tell you all of them, but you're going to spill the beans on a couple here. We're going to pull back the curtain, find out what's going on.
Yeah, we're going to pull back the curtain on, that reminds me in the Wizard of Oz, and they're like, to pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, right? Because, you know, men like to keep shit secret.
As do women too.
Yeah, and we've actually talked about that before,
yeah.
Secrets that men and women like to keep. But what I'm pointing out here is that there are secrets that men like to keep because there are lies that are happening behind it.
Yeah.
And let's not poke fingers at the women today, because I said that this is part 1 of a 2-part series where we will get into what women do.
You know, it's just you listen. I'm feeling real singled out right now. You know, like I'm on, like the spotlight's on us, on the guys, and I gotta just make sure that we clarify that we're not just straight bringing heat here. Like we're gonna focus on both sides.
Okay. Oh, poor men. I feel so sorry for them. So listen, get us started with the first lie that men like to tell, or love to tell, rather.
Oh man, where do I start? So
you see, look, you're already digging it. And by the way, just full disclosure, we decided to make this episode a little bit more fun because our last couple episodes have been a little heavy, so we wanted to kind of
controversial side, huh?
Yeah,
we've been leaning heavy on the controversy.
Yeah, so today we figured, let's fucking have a drink and have a good time.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So, all right, I want to say like the first lie that men say on a regular basis, like they keep this shit on speed dial. You know, like this shit is just, it's heavy in rotation when it comes to guys. Oh, all right, and that's the I'll call you.
Um, this makes me think about something. It's like another podcast that I listen to, and I think they're from the UK. And when one guy says something to the other guy, he turns around, he goes, "Brother,
Brother.
brother," and that's how I felt when you said that because
Bruh.
I literally had a guy do that to me once, and my
Right.
friends are probably gonna have a good laugh at this, but my two best friends were witness of it. I had a guy one time tell me that he was gonna go and pick up the food that he ordered. He's like, "I'm gonna call you." He never called me back.
Listen, that right there is like the it's the line that a guy will give right as he's about to exit stage left and never show his face ever again. That's a quick like just so she doesn't second guess me leaving and possibly never ever seeing me again. I'm gonna throw in and I'll call you just to shake things up a bit.
So if the guy has no intention on ever really seeing this woman again, why even fucking tell the lie? Like, why not just?
Because for whatever reason, the conversation is going in a way where he's maybe trying to back himself out of the situation and trying to do it nonchalantly. Like, hey, so I'm just gonna go do this real quick, blah blah blah. Just make it seem like I'm gonna see you in a bit. But in reality, that's that could be furthest from the truth. So if he's kind of still feeling like she's not really 100% convinced, like that they're gonna meet up again, I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna call you, like because like when somebody says they're gonna call you, you generally expect them to call you. It's just one of those things like that people say to each other. So you can say it easily to someone, and there can be still some like a little bit of belief behind it. But guys just use that shit on the regular and they have no intentions on calling.
Okay, so what you're saying to me is that a man will use this lie to back himself out of a situation that he doesn't see it going any further, and he's just looking for a quick exit.
Yeah, like so. For example, so imagine like a date that didn't go so well, and the girl really likes the guy. The guy's really not feeling the girl. She's feeling it, but she's like really trying to salvage the thing, because she wants to maybe see him again. And she's like, like, bro, you're not gonna call me, are you? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna call you, like because like I don't know why. Me personally, I would just say, listen, this is just not it, But some guys, I guess they don't like things to get ugly. Maybe they don't want things to end on that note, not to make things awkward. Even though it's awkward to begin with, will lie and say, I'll call you. This is just, this is not my style. I'm very much cards on the table. Let's be real with each other. Let's not set no false expectations. I don't want you seeing me later on and say, hey, didn't you say you were going to call me? And then I got to answer a bunch of questions or be shady. No, I'm not doing that. Like from the last time that we spoke, it was very clear, what our relationship was going to be like moving forward. But a lot of guys, they like to potentially keep it open. Maybe they're not feeling it at the moment, but they don't completely want to dead the situation. So if whatever they're gonna get into is if that doesn't work out, they still left, and I'm gonna call you on the table over here. Damn. So they get to pick up the phone.
That's so fucked up.
Yeah. See, I'm not like that. If I feel it like,
well, obviously not like that because we've been married for. At this point, it's coming to the point where I kind of forget how long we've been married.
Fine, granted, yes. But prior to our relationship, there was a time where I did throw that around, and I grew out of that. I grew out of that really quick, because I just realized that left awkward situations to fester in the future. You run into this person, let's say you didn't call them, and and then, yo, bro, so you thought you was gonna call me, blah blah blah, or use a liar, and like it just creates all of this negative tension between two people because you said something that you had no intentions on doing.
Okay, so I think that if we're gonna talk current times, wouldn't it be more like I'm gonna text you?
I'm gonna text you, yes. So I guess I'm showing my age here by just saying, that's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna call you. Nowadays, yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna hit you. And
it just never happens.
Never happens. But you know what though? And it can never happen. And then out of the blue, let's say the dude's bored. He's got nothing on the table going on.
You get it? What you doing?
Let me go back. Let me go real back, way back, and be like, oh damn, I ain't hit this girl last time we spoke. Yes, I'm gonna hit her. All right, bet. And it just it hits her. But like, damn, it's been a long time. But I said I was gonna hit you, right? And it's just all the reason to get back involved in a situation that you wasn't feeling back then, but maybe now you're gonna give it another shot. I definitely feel like it's more designed to just keep the door open, even though there may not be intentions on continuing it at that moment, but later on down the road, it always leaves that door open.
I'm just sitting here with the biggest smile on my face right now because
Yo, now you understand what the guy was saying when he was like, "I'm gonna call you." But did he ever call you?
he did, but it took that was a very interesting situation.
It took a long time, right?
I think that that guy had the wrong impression of me. He thought that because the way that I was treating him and the way that I was acting towards him made him think that I was into him more than he actually thought. What he didn't understand about me is that I was grown and I was mature, so I showed affection and I showed interest in a guy that I was, seeing at the time. But that didn't necessarily mean that I was like in love with you. And he was confused by that because that is the type of girls and type of situations that he had dealt with in the past. And the reason why I know this is because him and I don't even want to say that we really dated. I want to say that we were in a situationship. We were kind of just hooking up. And he wind up deading the situation between him and I. He thought that I was in love with him, and I'll never forget that phone call. I remember actually laughing when he told me that, and I said, "All right, B, if that's the way you feel, I'll see you when I see you." And what wind up happening was, I want to say maybe like 3-4 years later or something like that, I was at a bachelorette party and I ran into him.
Okay.
And he grabbed me up and he was like, "Yo."
Oh, so that's a little bit different.
But at that point, he told me, he was like, "Yo, I'm so sorry that whole situation went down like that. I was so intimidated by you. You were very sure about what the situation was, and I wasn't. So I kind of always was deflecting you in a way." And he goes, and once I stepped away from it, I realized that I was an idiot because you were kind of the whole package, and I was mistaken about how you were treating me, and I thought that your intentions were different, when in actuality we were just having a good time.
Yeah. So do you know what's funny? That's exactly what I was about to get into next. Like, so another scenario where a guy would use the word "I'm gonna call you" and have no intentions on calling you is if let's say that the date just went bad, whether it was the girl did something that was embarrassing to herself, where the guy was like, "Yo, I got to get out of this situation. This is just so done." Or the guy maybe feels intimidated, and just totally feels out of his element in front of this girl and is lying to her. He's trying to exit stage left and just trying to, save himself from embarrassing himself. And he's really doing it to himself, right? Because he's just not sure and confident in himself. So trying to exit the situation, be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna call you. All right, I'm gonna call you. We'll get up later. Something I gotta go do. I'm gonna call you," and have no intentions on calling her, just because he's just embarrassed or intimidated, like in your situation. Or if for some reason the girl has embarrassed herself, and the guy's like, and it's obvious, and maybe she's trying to like be apologetic about what happened, and he's just like being a sarcastic dick, like, "Yeah, I'm gonna call you. No, yeah, I'm gonna call you. No, sure, yeah, sure. I'm gonna call you. All right. Just look out for me, all right? I'm gonna call you." Like on some but being like obviously like blatantly being a dick and sarcastic about it. So those are different ways where a guy would lie and say, "I'm gonna call you." I feel like your blood is boiling right now. You get to see it in your face.
It's sometimes hard for me to hear these type of things because as a woman, especially a woman of my age, I just wish that the situations were more forthcoming.
Yeah.
It would just make things so much easier. I just feel like what you're saying to me is this is someone that is trying to save face. And in any of the situations, whether it be they're embarrassed, whether they don't want the situation to continue, they're just trying to save face for themselves rather than putting out maybe something that may make him or her feel uncomfortable, which to me sounds kind of childish, especially when we're talking about, grown adults.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is immature in a big way, because speaking for myself, I know that that only creates an awkward situation later on down the road. I mean, I just mentioned that.
Yeah.
You know, getting it out on the table right then and there can potentially maybe even make two people come to a better understanding. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm getting
even
at.
right then and there before the situation ends. And or it could really set the stage for like, next time I see you, like, we know it didn't end well. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to even say what's up to you. You don't say what's up to me. And that creates a better situation for two people. You know, I think that leaving a relationship on a false pretense of like, you know, there may be something going on later is really dumb. But, you know, I just said guys will do it to keep their options open. You'd be surprised the lows that a guy will stoop to just to, you know, engage in some type of activity with a girl when he's lonely. So like this, so there may be even a situation where it was a horrible date for a guy. You know what I'm saying? It was probably the worst date he'd ever been on. You know, but he finds himself in a situation where he ain't doing shit. Nobody's picking up the phone. He's single. His boys are all with their girls, not doing nothing. Let me just call this other girl right here who like right now would probably just love for like an ounce of my time because I'm just bored as hell. Be like, yo, what's up, girl?
Don't fucking laugh.
And she's gonna be happy as hell
Don't
that I
fucking
called.
laugh.
But that's just, you know, I guess in a way where you want to keep. Well, if you're single, you always kind of want to have like a wild card in the back somewhere that you could pull out when need be.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
Having the wild card situation,
Yeah.
all that other bullshit, I'm not co-signing none of that.
It all falls back to the wild card.
Because I definitely had some wild cards in my day. So take us on to the next lie that men will like to tell, because I feel like we can go back and forth on this first one for a minute.
So another lie that men like to tell, I don't want to say men and boys probably,
Okay.
is what it is that they do for a living or to earn money, or what their social status is.
Okay.
So
Elaborate.
So this is a story that I know I've heard time and time again. Is out on the West Coast, everybody's a producer, everybody's a filmmaker, you know. Everybody's got a script going on. And so that type of situation that people will use to try to elevate their position of what they do in life to impress the person that they're talking to.
So, but why more specifically, why will a man do this?
So statistically, and I don't have numbers on this, right? I'm just going based off my experience. When you're talking to someone that may be interested in you and you're interested into that person, 90% of the time, what you do and how much you make it's held in a high regard.
Okay.
You know, your social and economic status really kind of seems to put weight onto the conversation and the relationship that you're building with the person that you're talking to.
Yeah, we've actually talked about this before.
We've talked about this in another episode. So men will lie. They will lie, especially if their intent is to just create some type of situation that be most beneficial for them, and that they have no intentions on having longevity in. Like, a guy will literally just blatantly say, you know what, I'm gonna meet somebody, I'm gonna fucking gas this shit up to the max to see what, you know, how far I can go, and have no intentions on it being, you just see how far it'll go. And so just lie about what they do, what they make, who they are, because that impresses girls. Unfortunately, it impresses women and impresses girls. And if a guy's just looking for a quick interaction, sometimes those things work.
Okay. I want to dissect this a little bit because I'm just really trying to understand. So you're saying that a guy will potentially pull this lie out in hopes of getting some sort of interaction with a woman.
Yeah. Or a guy or another guy.
Okay. With no intent to further that situation.
Yeah, I mean, because you can't keep something up. You can't keep up a lie that big for too long. So you obviously have no intent on being in the situation for a long time. So let's just say I lie to you about, let's just say, hey, I'm an executive over at Bad Boy. I was matter of fact, I was just coming from meeting with Puff. We were in the studio with, with this certain artist, and just like basically probably speaking the way that an actual somebody who was in the industry would, maybe I'm mimicking someone and just talking all this lingo and things like that. Maybe things that you're picking up on and it's impressing you. Obviously now I'm going to have to spend a little bit of money on you to impress you, take you out on a couple fancy dates to back up this little bit of a facade that I gave, but I'm hoping to get laid. Really is what it is. And there's guys that will do that. They'll do that to the extent where once it all comes, uncovered, it's already too late. He already slept with the girl, and it all comes crashing down. He lied. He was full of bullshit, but he got what he wanted.
This makes me think about that show that was recently on Netflix. I didn't watch it. Tinder Swindler.
Yeah, the Tinder Swindler. So
did you?
I said I did. I watched it.
I didn't watch it.
I did. I watched it. And man, let me tell you something.
And this is exactly what this guy was doing.
That is what we're talking about, like to the millionth power. This dude was like, he was running essentially like a Ponzi scheme. Yes.
He was using money that other women had given him to then show out on other women, and he was just kind of keeping this vicious cycle going. And I only know this. I did not watch this. I only know this from all of the clips that I saw on social media. So this is like my summarization of that show.
Yeah.
But am I correct in saying that?
So what he would do is he'd meet somebody on Tinder, right? And then they would match. And then instantly the girl would do her deep dive. Go check out his Instagram. Go check him out on the internet. Do a search in his name. This guy's Instagram was like everything lavish. Cars, exotic cars, flying private planes, dining and partying in hot spots, pictures with celebrities and things like that. You look him up, and he was the heiress of a diamond mogul, somebody who produced massive diamonds. This guy was the con artist, and so when he met a girl, immediately he'd call her up and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like, okay, so they matched, talked really brief, and he would go instantly to, "What are you doing? I'm in Belize. I'm flying over to where you're at. I'm gonna come pick you up in my private jet," and he would show up. And you'd be on a private jet that day, flying out to another country for like just to eat.
So like you said, because I don't really want to give like a whole summarization of the show, but basically this is this lie on the 10th power.
Yeah, on the 10th power. He was, and then so soon after the getting in trouble meeting, he would cause like this drama, and then say his funds got locked up, and then start asking you for money. Listen, I have all this money. My funds are tied. Please, let me borrow some money. I promise I got you, right? And so you sent them $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, whatever you could, and that's what he's using to fund the next girl.
Yeah, I think this definitely goes a little bit beyond just a lie. This guy was a con artist on another level, but that's what it made me think about, because you said that I think for him, if I'm thinking about it, it was more than just getting into the girl's pants. It was about keeping up his own lifestyle.
He was living a lavish lifestyle.
But if we're talking about it in regards to like, the average guy.
Right.
The average guy, from what you're saying to me, is that he's doing it just to have sex with someone.
Right. Well, this guy obviously had some serious desires that he needed to fulfill. And in order to fulfill those desires, he had to elaborate this scheme that he was doing to fulfill those desires. In most cases, his desires are just on an intimate level with an attractive girl. Yeah. And so a lot of guys will lie. They'll lie about what it is that they do and, what type of influence they have to impress the girl. Because, it's all about impressing the girl in one way or another. If most guys really understood, mentally, if you can get mentally into a girl and impress her that way with whatever stimulates her, just talk to her a little bit, find out what she's into, and then stimulate her that way, that's more than likely you're going to be able to get what you need without having to lie. Yeah. But that takes a little bit of work. It's like a little bit of a mental game and stuff like that. So it's easier for a guy just to lie. And most girls, because this is a thing that guys do, so obviously it's working. Most girls will be impressed. They will be impressed, and eventually they're getting what it is that they're looking for, or maybe not. It doesn't always work.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Maybe you can or cannot answer this. Why do you think women fall for that kind of shit?
Because there's women out there that are looking for a meal ticket. They're looking for a ride. They're looking to be cared for. They're looking to be provided for.
Mm-hmm.
There's still that.
Okay, pause. Are you saying that in a bad way? Like,
no, I'm not saying that.
Because when you say meal ticket, that has like a negative connotation to it. So
no, well, let me finish, right? So there are women that their intentions are for a meal ticket. Like all they want to see is dollars and money. I don't care what you look like.
Okay.
The women like this exist, and that's a category of women. I'm not saying all women are like this.
No, I know that.
Yeah. So what I'm saying to you is that the women that kind of exist in that realm where they want to be provided for, not necessarily looking for a meal ticket, but they are looking to be taken care of. Okay. They want a man that, on top of whatever it is that they do for themselves, to be able to offer them more. And so it's just like the movie that we watched where it was the girl who was dating the cook guy.
I understand that, but I want to know if they want to be provided for. I get what you're saying. And then they're looking for a man with money. So is that you're saying because they're looking for a man with money, they fall for these lies of what?
Potentially.
Okay.
Potentially. They could, I mean, it could just also be part of what it is they require in a man. So they may not even be looking for what all these things that I said. They're just, part of their requirement for them to talk to a man is that he has to be successful. Okay. There's people like that, on a everyday. There are people like that every day. They exist everywhere. They have these conditions that need to be met in order for them to associate or to be able to date someone. So if these preferences, yes. So if a person's preference is that someone that they're talking to is successful, has a strong economic status, then when they meet somebody that's talking this talk, they're going to be hitting all of those checks off that person. And that person, the one that the person, I keep saying person, I'm sorry. If someone is being spoken to by someone and they have these requirements as they're being spoken to, and there's someone saying to them, yes, I'm a successful business person, I'm an investor. And so in their mind, they're just like, oh, wow, okay, I like that. And now all of a sudden they're interested. So, but it's in reality coming from we're going to use the man in this scenario. He's lying. Even though he's lying, he's checking off all these boxes. And so that's how easily someone can fall into something like that.
Okay. I just want to point that though, that's very different from a girl wanting a meal ticket.
Okay. I think you're taking the word, I said meal ticket, as part of many different scenarios.
Yeah, the scenario that you just described is different from a woman that is looking to potentially take advantage of a man for the money and the status that he has. Because to me, that's what a meal ticket is.
That's one of many scenarios.
Hang on. But that was your initial statement.
That was I listed off a bunch of different scenarios, and like you're like,
because when I think about it,
you don't like the word meal ticket, and now you're like trying to single it out as if like that's exactly what I was talking about, and I was referring everything to it's this type of person that would be interested in something like that.
But you also said that it was the type of woman, because after meal ticket, you said it was also the type of woman that's being looked for to be taken care of.
A woman that's looking to be taken care of, a woman that's just a gold digger looking for a meal ticket, a woman that is not looking to be taken care of, or a person that's not looking to be taken care of, because we're talking about men or women, that just their requirements, there's something that they require in a person that they're speaking to potentially date, has to fall into these particular categories. Okay, so there's 3 different ones right there. Why are you just talking about the one that I said a meal ticket?
No, I just spoke about the second one.
No, I just feel like you want to point that out, like there's like, because you don't like the way you don't.
Well, because you led with that, and the reason why I find that interesting is because if we're talking, when I gave you the example of, or what it made me think about was Tinder Swindler, and you said that this gentleman, that was this lie on the 100th power, but a lot of these women were very financially stable. They were able to give him all types of money, so I don't think it was initially the type of woman that was looking to be a gold digger or having a meal ticket or being taken care of, because it seems like these women were taking care of themselves very well prior to this man coming into their life.
Yes.
I personally think, and this is the reason why I'm pointing out these different categories that you have put these women into as to why they would potentially fall for this. I don't think it's what they're looking for. I think it's what they're not looking for. And what I mean by that is, I think that when they meet a man like this, they become blinded by the things that he is saying. And it seems so interesting, it seems so seductive, and it seems so enticing. And they fall victim to not focusing on maybe some of the red flags. I personally think, regardless of whatever category they're in, a gold digger, looking to be taken care of, or the person that is looking for particular preferences, I think that they become really immersed in what this person is saying to them and the fantasy of it, and they ignore all of the red flags. I think that's my opinion as to why they fall into these type of, it says more about them and the way that they are viewing somebody. I don't necessarily think it's about what they want.
If they're falling for it, somewhere deep in their mind, they wish or would have liked to have dated a person like this. If all of a sudden they're just like, oh wow, this is nice, because if you're the type of person that these things are not important, then when they do show up, they become overwhelming. They become something that you're not ready for. Okay, you've told me that you've been in situations like this where you've dated people at times in your life that were very much about over impressing, and at that point in your life, that's not something that you were ready for, and you almost were intimidated by it, the whole situation. So the result of it was that you withdrew from it. Do you not know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So if these things are not important to somebody at any point in their life, going out, flying private jets or whatever it is, or even being with somebody with high status, it has zero importance. And they meet someone, and all of a sudden through talking to this person has a high paying job, they're very successful, this, that, and the third, and we're gonna use a guy and a girl for this example. The guy's the successful one. The girl's the one that has no interest in anybody who is successful. The guy is interested in the girl, and all of a sudden, she's finding herself potentially dating someone who's very foreign to her. That whole situation becomes intimidating. So rather than being wowed by it and being like, "Oh, this is nice," and then just falling into the lies because there's this huge spectacle going on, the girl's gonna be intimidated by it. She's going to withdraw from the situation. It's going to be very forced. She doesn't want to be in that situation. She has zero interest of it. If those people ended up with the Tinder swindler, it's because at some point in their life, they maybe wished or dreamed about living that type of a lifestyle. And even though they weren't looking for it, and it's all of a sudden here, now that it's here, oh yeah, oh wow. I've never met a con artist before, but finally this thing that I've maybe dreamed about or thought that or would have liked to have is finally here. So I just feel like you created a situation where like, oh, they just, were wowed by it and that's how it happened. No, they were looking for it one way or another, hoping that they meet somebody like that. But that was genuine. Instead, they met a con artist.
Okay.
Okay. I'm glad we cleared that up.
I'm gonna agree to disagree.
All right. Yeah, I figured that wouldn't be you if you didn't.
Yeah, because you and I can go we can go back and forth a lot on these kind of things, and that's not really where I want to go with this conversation. That's not what the show's
about. All right, so we're gonna
that's what this show is about. This show is called Shit Talk Fridays. But what I'm saying is that I feel like we can go back and forth on that for a little bit.
Well, we got a couple more to cover here, so let's put a pin in that one. We'll circle back around to this off the show.
We'll circle back to that shit.
So another one that's a really good one that guys lie about is when being intimate with a girl and just things are getting hot and heavy, but not really where the guy's hoping that it go. Things are getting hot and heavy, and they're really not getting to where the guy's hoping it'll go. A guy will say this in hopes that it may be just what he needs to get him there, and it's I'll just put the tip in just let me put the tip in, all right? And I promise, like, wait, you know, I'll leave you alone, you know, or I'll stop trying to pursue this. You know, there's obviously feelings going on between us. If we're to the point where I'm asking you to let me put the tip in, maybe you're not ready to go there yet. You really like me, and you know things are really going great, but you just don't want to have sex right at this moment. And maybe I do, and we've done everything else but have sex. At this point, I'm asking, so just let me put the tip in. And I didn't think this episode
was going to be this difficult for me.
I'm just lying. Like
I am holding back so much.
Why?
Because I just like, you say these things and I feel instant rage.
Oh man, this is great. I love it.
Evil's over here dishing all of the men's lies, and he's having a good time. I'm over here having fucking the worst time right now.
I'm digging in my old book of secrets here, that like this dusty book that I had to like.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you the question: why do you think this fucking lie works?
Why do I think this lie works?
Yeah, because I'm so interested to know why men will use this. Even better yet, let me ask you this: why does it work? And have you ever yourself used this lie and it worked for you?
Yes, I have used this lie.
Okay.
And it did work.
And it's worked for you.
And it did work.
So why do you think this lie works then?
Because in reality, and this is not a conversation I've ever had with a girl, but this is just my own take on why it works, is that no girl wants just a tip. Like once the tip is in, you're in. Like there is no just a tip. Come on, ladies, don't front. Like if you're letting him put the tip in, you have opened the gates. Like, is it? Am I lying?
Oh my god.
I feel like that's the unofficial, like, all right, motherfucker. I know you lying, and I'm gonna let you do this because I want it to, but I'm gonna act like I don't want it, and we're just gonna end up having sex. Because in reality, the guy has convinced the girl to allow him, even though this whole time she's been saying no.
I know that. That language is kind of scary to me because I think about it like for you to say to me that a girl has said no several times, and then a guy will then say, because then I think we're like in those murky waters.
No, we're not in murky waters. We're talking about just asking. You're asking for someone. You're persistently asking for something. This is not a situation where you're being forced upon. I'm talking about a situation where it's an intimate moment. It's an intimate moment where, granted, you know, sex typically happens in a great scenario where a girl or a woman is allowing a man or a boy to do certain things, right? It's all about what she allows him to do. So she's allowed the interaction to go to this particular point. Okay, let's just say it's right before all the way. Okay. And that's what she's decided she wanted to go today. You know, in her mind, when she left home, I'm going to meet this guy, we're going to fool around, but this is all we're doing. Okay. So, but you know, he wants more. So now the conversation starts about, come on, you know, let's just, you know, let me just do a little bit, you know, like I really wanted to, you know, that whole conversation is going back and forth, right? So she doesn't want to, he's being persistent about how he wants to. Eventually she gives in. So I don't think this is a murky water situation. You know, he's convinced her to change her mind, and she's done it. Like this is something that is consensual. It's a consent type of thing.
But if she's already said no several times, why do men feel like you being continuous to be persistent?
Because I think that in this world, you're going to be told no about a lot of things. And if you took no for the, you know, just for the first answer that you got, you might find yourself missed of a lot of opportunities. You know, a lot of things happen. A lot of people get their ways just based on the way that they ask for things.
I understand that.
So maybe the way that he's asking for it at that particular time, she's not feeling it.
Okay.
I don't know, you know.
I just want to be clear that in no way, shape, or form should someone be pushing themselves.
We're not talking about pushing anything on anyone, Gina.
Okay.
All right? Let's not turn this into that type of conversation. I'm just saying that if we're having the conversation, if I'm asking you to let me put the tip in, okay, then this is not, we're not talking about a forceful conversation. Because if I'm going to force myself on you, we're just no asking nothing. I'm not asking you to put the tip in. I'm forcing myself on you. So can we I'm talking about why guys would lie about something, because obviously they're just about there. They're just about there, and all it is, it's just gonna all he needs for her just for her to say yes.
Okay, I just okay. I need you to understand that when you say these things to me, I receive them very differently from maybe the way that it would be if you were talking to another guy. So
I get that.
Okay,
I get
it
that.
doesn't seem like you get that.
I do get that, but I think
Can you hang on a second?
Sure.
Okay. It doesn't seem like that because you just said, "Oh, come on, Gina." No, I need you to clearly understand that when I hear these kind of things as a woman, I know that there have been situations where things like that have been said, and those situations don't go as nicely as you're painting them. So I just want you to understand that I'm not saying that what you're saying is in meaning that men force themselves on women. I just want to be clear that this type of situation that you are describing is something where maybe the girl is just like a little bit hesitant and the guy is trying to get her to feel more comfortable. But you then said, she said, no, no, no. And then I said this. So to me, there's like a lack of understanding of consent there. I just want you to see where I'm coming from when I say that. I'm not trying to make it seem like in that situation, that's what all men are looking to do.
So why is it that we're even talking about this? I clearly described the scenario where it's very much so basically.
I don't feel like you do, because if you described it as clear as you saying that you are, then I wouldn't have received it that way. So you are describing it like how a man would describe it, and I'm just telling you that as a woman, these type of things sometimes are hard to hear because Eva, you have to understand, as a woman, I've had situations happen, and I've also had conversations with other women about these kind of situations. So the way things happen to women are very different from the way men perceive it. That's all I'm saying to you.
Yeah, I get that. So if...
Do you though?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I just and it's clear that you have very strong feelings about these type of situations, and anything being spoken about in light, you don't take lightly. So there was no me tiptoeing and dancing lightly around this. Like we were gonna get here regardless. I was hoping that it didn't, you know, because like this was supposed to be a light conversation and a light show that we were supposed to be doing, Gina.
Well, you know
why we're having conversations about forcing ourselves on each other, I don't know, but you know, in respect to how you feel, I know that this is a strong and passionate topic of yours. Yeah. Okay, but sometimes, you know, there's a time and a place. And I don't think that this was the time and the place to like go there, because it really wasn't, you know, like it was things that guys lie about. This was a lie we're talking about. A lie that someone might say to convince, like to try to get their way on something without being forceful. Just words. Hey, hello. Yes, you want to do something? You want to do it? No. All right. Well, you know, maybe, you know, it's convincing someone to do something. I don't see how that is being forceful. I think it's being persistent.
Okay.
People are persistent about many things in many different ways, but because it's a man being persistent to a woman sexually, it strikes a nerve with you. And I know that.
Of course, it strikes a nerve with me.
Yes. Well, understood. I understand that. You're telling me you don't think I understand that. Trust me. I get it.
No, I just don't think you understood why it struck a nerve with me. Like,
clearly I do.
Okay. All right. Listen, I just need shit to be clear because, you know, when I said a couple minutes before that I was holding back, I'm really restraining myself when it comes to how I feel about some of these lies. So I just, you know, want to put that out there. So I don't want to not say how I feel in my restraint form, because I think it's important that I say it. You get me?
I guess. I don't know. I've been in scenarios where it's basic. I've been in scenarios where it's totally the opposite. You know.
How so?
All right, I'm gonna give you a scenario which it's gonna be a little bit in detail, but it is what it is. There was this girl, I liked her. When I expressed to her I liked her, it turned out she didn't really like me. She liked somebody else, a guy, and she ended up dating him for a while. And me and her were really good friends. I deaded her. I thought that she was fucked up, like that she started dating my friend, even though right after I expressed I liked her. Didn't talk to her for years. Then all of a sudden, I get wind around school that she likes me. And I'm like, whatever. She got no chance. She shows up at my house one. She shows up at my house one day, try to be cute. So I invite her in. We start talking, whatever. Kind of make up a bit, and then she starts making these visits to my house frequently. Eventually, we start messing around, and she was obviously showing me that she was very interested in me. It got to the point where we were about to get intimate, and I went to go like put my hand down her pants, and she goes, "No, you can't do that." And I said, "Well, why?" She goes, "No, because she goes, the minute you touch me down there, I have to have you." So how are you telling me that I can't touch you down there, but the minute I do, if I put a finger down there, that's it. The gates are open. Like she literally gave me, from what I understood, was the key to having sex with her.
Okay.
So in a situation like that one, she told me, no, I can't do something because if I do, then we're having sex.
Okay.
So, and we still kept messing around. And the minute I was able to talking about like a graze, pants came right off. So that's a perfect scenario for me where it was no, but it was totally led by her. And she just kind of needed to convince herself or something to happen where she was like, okay, now I'm okay with it. So how is that? I don't see that as any different as in the same scenario, a girl coming to the point where she's about taking it as far as she wanted to. And maybe in her head, it's like, okay, in order for this to happen, like I got to feel a certain way. Okay. Something's got to feel right. And so the guy eventually says something that makes her feel right. And then they end up having sex.
Okay.
Because.
Okay.
Is this something that now you need to unwrap and deep dive into too? Or you don't see it that way? You don't agree with what I said.
Well, personally, I didn't need the condescending remark after your little story, but
condescending remark.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry if I was condescending.
Yeah, because you were just like, oh, is this something now that you have to deep dive into? I mean, you told the story, so do you want my opinion on it?
Well, you said you wanted an example, so I gave you an example.
So, I personally have never been in a situation where I have told the guy I don't want something, and then after saying no, he then convinced me or was persistent in getting me to do it. Okay. I generally, and I'm speaking for myself, but I feel like I also speak for other women because I'm a woman and I have other female friends. When we want something, we want something. Mm-hmm. And I have no problem. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to get into a situation with a guy and play this fucking game of no, mm-hmm. but I mean yes. Mm-hmm. No, because when I want it, I want it.
Okay.
And that's just from my perspective.
Yeah, you're speaking for yourself. I
just said that I'm speaking for other women that I know of. I'm not speaking for all women because I have a large circle of friends of women, and I also work in an industry where I come across many women, right? I can't say that I've come across a lot of women in my life that have said to me, oh, I was messing around with such and such, and they convinced me to have sex.
Okay.
It was usually I wanted to engage. So when you say these things to me, it's a little confusing for me to understand them, right? But what I will say is this, and then we can move on, right?
There's one more thing I want to say after you're done.
You said you were in school, so it sounds like you were quite young when this was happening.
Young, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to chalk this up to someone being still very naive in their sexuality.
Okay.
And how they like to approach sex.
Okay.
And there may be some tactics that are being used that are not fully developed.
Okay.
And there can be areas of lack of confidence that someone does potentially, the way they're expressing it. And this girl's particular situation was, don't touch me down there. Maybe that was her way of being playful, but she led with no. So as a woman of my age, and I would never lead with that. If I want to be playful, I'm going to be playful. I'm not going to lead with no. You get what I'm saying? So when you're younger, maybe you're still not sure about how to go about doing these things. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so the type of person that would say something like this is the type of person who's easy, but doesn't want to be perceived as easy.
Whoa.
Okay.
Evo.
And there are people out there who are very easy. They're about it, but they don't want to be perceived that way. Okay, they don't want to be known as that. It's because that's not a label that somebody wants to have.
Whoa, you just fucking.
What do you mean? Whoa, I've met girls that are easy. Okay, it doesn't take much. Okay, and we're there now. Still, slow down for a second. Okay, now someone who is easy. Okay, will front. No. But in reality, that's what they want to do. They just don't want to act like it's that easy. Okay. So, and then 2, if you're saying to someone, and this is for guys, just let me put the tip in. I hope you're not saying that as an adult, because if you're using that line as an adult, then you got problems. Yes, this is something that you do when you're young.
But we do mean young, like young adult years too, though, right?
I'm talking about but young. Like if you're a young adult, maybe.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But this is not something that you I hope that this is not a line that you're using in your late 20s, early 30s, and beyond. Okay, because I'm questioning the people that you're sleeping with. All right. But so yes, to answer your question, I was
you can't see, but like
I was yes. That story that I gave you was when I was in high school. The line of "let me just put the tip in" was something that I used as a young kid, as a young adult.
Yeah.
And those were the lies that I said at those times, and someone who may act that way where that you can convince them or say, if they initially say no, but then you say something like that and they say they agree to yes, is someone who in reality didn't want to seem like they were going to be easy to sleep with, but definitely wanted to put up a little bit of a fight over it. Okay. And I think that, do you think that this type of scenario just doesn't exist?
I'm not saying. I just told you that I actually think that it does exist, and I explained to you why I thought it existed.
Oh, okay. Because it's the way that you were acting right now was almost like you were not agreeing with what I was saying to you just now. That's the vibe I was getting from you.
No, it's just sometimes the way you say.
What did I say?
It's just the way sometimes you say things that make me feel fucking funny in my skin. So, when you said that I met girls that are easy, right? Wouldn't that mean that you're easy too?
No, that doesn't mean that I'm easy. No.
So you didn't sleep with these girls?
I wasn't being pursued. I was the pursuer. Okay, so if I'm pursuing something and I have to go through certain obstacles, okay, and I'm gonna call them obstacles for lack of a better term, right? But I have to go through certain obstacles to get to my end goal. Depending on the difficulty of that obstacle course is going to determine whether what I declare as easy or hard to get to the end goal, right? So if sex is the end goal, then the obstacles in my way are going to determine whether getting to that sex was easy or not. Some girls that I've met have put very little obstacles in between me and getting to the sex. So to me, that's easy. Other girls or women have made it very difficult to get to that point. Okay. And so to me, that's not easy. So what is it that I'm describing to you that doesn't sound right as far as like, how does that make me easy? Now, if I'm being pursued, that's a different story.
But in all of these cases, you were being pursued by these girls?
No, I'm talking about if I was pursuing, I'm talking about as a man pursuing a girl. If it doesn't take much for him to have sex, and that's his goal, to have sex, then I would say that would make that an easy attempt. Okay,
but you just said a man pursuing a girl, and you before just led with if you're being pursued.
No, what you said to me is that doesn't this make me easy too?
Because if you're pursuing the girl, right? Because you just now your second example was the man is pursuing a girl, right? And the actions leading up to the goal of sex were not hard, which in turn makes them easy. If he's pursuing a girl that potentially is easy, wouldn't that make him easy too because of the type of girl that he's pursuing?
How does that make him easy? If you're in pursuit of something, if you are in pursuit of something, your journey in that pursuit, depending on the difficulty to get to that, is going to determine whether that was an easy or a hard journey.
Well,
how does that make the person who's in pursuit easy?
Okay, so then how is it that the person that is being pursued, not putting up many obstacles, why does that make them easy?
Because they are the goal. Okay, let's.
Sex is the goal, you said.
That sex is the goal, right? So, so let's.
You flip flopping.
I'm not flip flopping.
Yes, you are.
I'm gonna give you an analogy. Slow down. I'm gonna give you an analogy. Okay.
Oh, I can't wait for people to listen to this episode.
Let them listen.
I'm telling you, let them listen. I mean, that is the goal, right?
I can't wait.
I'm going to give you an analogy. Only because you led with you were being pursued.
I gave you an example when I was being pursued. Okay. At the same time, I mentioned that someone who may fall for the line of, no at the beginning and then yes at the end, or let me just stick the tip in, that typically like someone like that could be. That could be someone who's easy, who is trying not to be.
Okay.
And then so you for somehow you got out of that if they're easy, then doesn't that make me easy? No, that doesn't make me easy. Okay. And the analogy I'm going to give you is take mountain climbing. Okay. The goal is to get to the top of the mountain.
I mean, not all the time, but okay.
That mountain climbing is to get to a point in the mountain. You're climbing to somewhere. You have an end goal, right? Whether it's to the top of the mountain or to the middle of the mountain or it's just 3/4 of the mountain. When we go mountain climbing, we have a place that we're going to, right? We don't just mountain climb just to go randomly mountain climb. We have we set a trail, our start and our end point. Don't we?
I think the goal is and you're referring to when we go hiking, the goal is to hike.
Okay, it's to get to a point though, and on the hike, right?
Oh, that was never my goal. Maybe that's your goal. My goal is just to hike. We pick a trail because we have to stay on a trail so that we don't get lost.
We pick a trail.
Okay.
The trail. Excuse me. The trail. You love to do this. The trail has a beginning and an end point, doesn't it?
Yeah. But
yes. Okay. And the objective is to start at one point and get to the end of the trail, right, Gina?
Yeah.
Okay, so now certain trails are harder than others, right? Okay, so the ones that are not so hard would be considered easy, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what would make a person easy, the level of difficulty that they put between you and the end goal, which is the sex. That's what makes a person easy.
Okay, so then my question to you is, what does that say about the person that is pursuing that trail? If we're going to use these terminologies or these metaphors,
what does that say about the person pursuing the trail? That some days that some days they're willing to put up a hard hike, and some days they're willing to just take an easy stroll.
Well, that's an assumption that they're even looking to do a hard hike.
Okay, so coming from a guy's from a guy's perspective,
can you give me a second? I just want to know, like, you said that. Okay, you said that means that some days they want to take a hard hike and some days that they don't, right?
I mean, I'm trying to come up with what does that even say about the person who's I don't.
If someone is choosing to take the route of something that is not difficult, there's not a lot of obstacles, and that's potentially.
I don't think that's their choice. I think that their choice is to get to the end of a trail. You never know what it is, that the level of difficulty that you're gonna face. That's what makes people easy and hard, right? So you meet a person, okay, your ultimate goal is to have sex with them, whether it's a guy or a girl. You have no idea the obstacles that are going to be put in front of you in order for you to get to that end goal. Okay, and what makes someone easy and not is the difficulty that they put in front of you. That's determined by the person that you're pursuing. In this example, it'll be a guy and a girl, right? So depending on the level of difficulty that the girl puts in front of a guy is what's going to measure whether it's easy or hard to get to that end goal. It's the girl who sets the difficulty. So there are some girls who don't really put difficulty out there, but at some point they don't want to seem like they're easy, so they try to throw a little degree of difficulty in there. But in reality, like you're gonna end up having sex with them. They just want to, like, I don't know what, like, how they feel exactly, but I just know that, man, I'm just thinking about some of these scenarios, that it's just bullshit. Like, it really is. And it's just so that person, it doesn't, maybe for themselves, they don't want to feel like that, they're being easy, but in reality, they don't want any difficulty. They want to get straight to the point too. And I know this is hard for you to identify with because you're not like this, and I get it, but I just feel like that you're not seeing it from where I see it from, where I've dealt with both type of women, women who are easy and women who are very not easy, women who you really got to put a lot of time into, and you really got to, you got to walk the right walk, and you got to talk the right talk, and you got to come correct, and before you can even think about getting anywhere with them. And then there's other girls who there's minimal effort. All you gotta do is give them a couple drinks and you have it, make them laugh a little bit, and they're it's like, come on, let's go back to my place. So, like, why is it that just for me describing that scenario as easy, all of a sudden a bad thing?
Well, because I asked you, this all started off with the conversation of sticking the tip in, right? And like, why would someone fall for something like that, right?
Yeah, I said, I gave you one example of why someone would fall for like that. And I said, well, if you have somebody that's fronting, like they don't want to, but they don't want,
and then you said in reality that they
don't want to be easy, and they're
because
saying,
Evo, the reason why I deep dived into that is because you are describing that situation like that's a bad thing for a woman.
I'm describing that bad thing. I gave you a scenario as to why.
I know.
You asked me why. I gave you an answer. I don't think you liked my answer. That's the problem. You didn't like what I said about, it potentially being a girl being easy. I don't think you even like the idea of women being easy or a woman being called easy. I don't think you like any of that.
I don't.
Exactly. So that's the reality of what's going on here.
No. Okay. So that's your assumption of what. Okay.
Well, I'm right about it. You just said you don't like it.
But that is not
expressing that you don't like it.
But that's not why I deep dove. That's not why I dove into it with you.
Okay.
That's your assumption.
Okay.
You know that I don't like that kind of stuff. So that's not neither here nor there.
Right. But the fact of the matter is that it does exist. It is a real thing.
That situation potentially is real.
Yeah.
The way that you are describing women being easy.
I'm describing a certain, I feel like I keep having to like dissect this and really subcategorize this because you're taking what I'm saying and you're casting it over women. I said certain particular women.
Okay, fine. Okay. I'm just saying, even these certain particular women.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I still would not address them that way.
You would not address them that way. How would you address them, Gina?
A woman that's looking to have sex. What difference does it make what obstacle she puts in ahead of it or not? Like, if a woman is looking to have casual sex, then she's looking to have casual sex. I don't look at it as easy or hard. Some women, when it comes to sex, may not want the sex to happen more immediate. Mm-hmm. So then there's more time between you initially meeting them and the first time that you have sex, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's women that you meet that there isn't a lot of time. I don't consider that one easier or harder. Wait.
That's interesting that you say that.
I don't consider one easier or harder because the woman that has sex with you sooner, maybe that was her end goal, just to have sex, just to be casual.
Right.
I don't think that makes her easy.
Okay. Well, that's easy for you to say. Okay. Because because coming from a woman, you don't have to put in the work that men have to do to get sex. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's why, from a man's point of view, it is easy or hard because there's a level of there's a degree of effort that has to go into it. Okay, in order for the man to have sex, a woman just needs to be convinced whether she wants to allow this opportunity to happen.
I would agree with you.
So
on
then
that.
that's why I'm allowed as a man to say whether something was easy or hard.
Yeah. So the situation is easy or hard, but not the actual person. That is why I'm dissecting that. Do you get what I'm saying? The woman is not easy. The journey that you took to have sex with her, maybe that was easy. But she's not easy.
Okay, I think that's subjective in a way where
fine.
That's debatable. Like,
fine, that's fine, but that's why I dissected that.
Okay,
so
I feel like that's a you say tomato, I say tomato type of situation.
Okay.
I mean, and you're right. I get what you're saying now,
and I agree with
right?
you, and I agree with you about what it is that men have to endure sometimes to
it's
have sex. It's
a hell of a lot of work.
I get that. I don't feel sorry for men.
Nobody's asking for your sympathy.
Okay, but what I'm saying to you is that because you're like, you don't see how I see it as, and this is why back earlier I said the same thing to you. When you describe these things to me, you don't know what it feels like when I hear these things as a woman, and here you are saying the same thing that I was saying. So all I want to say is that the woman herself is not easy. The situation that occurred between you and that woman, maybe that was easy.
You're failing to realize is that in the situation, okay, and I'm talking from experience, all right, the girl or woman will say certain things to try to be like, no, I don't really want to. Okay, that is putting up a resistance when in reality, you know what you're here for. Okay, so why is it okay for someone who just wants to have casual sex that in the mix of it to try to like act like, like they're not trying to?
Well, I told you, and I gave you my potential thought process behind that was when you described that situation, which was you were in school, which meant that you were in high school, right? So I said, that to me sounds like someone that is still very novice in their sexual journey, that they're not really understanding like they're not understanding the dynamic of sexual maybe foreplay yet. And they're still really trying to understand that. And they are trying to understand how they should go about being maybe a little bit playful.
Why isn't it that a girl can't be just trying to make a person or a guy feel like he had to put in some work, that this was something that he should feel was of value. Okay, because when somebody puts in work for something and they finally achieve it, there's value to that end, right? To that end result. So why is it that a girl who really just wants to have casual sex doesn't want to make it seem like it's just casual sex, because in the end she still wants to be valued. She still wants to be valued, so she has to try to put up some type of a front to make the guy feel like he's working for something, so that when they get to that point, she feels like he worked for it, and that he sees her as somewhat valuable instead of like just some, casual interaction. That's like, to me, that makes perfect sense why a girl would do that.
Okay.
So, but it's a front.
Okay.
Which is all I was saying this whole time. And I just don't see how in that scenario, like we got into this whole like forcing men on each, being forceful.
that was okay. But I just said, Evo,
are we spinning wheels here?
I love you, but I just want to say that, this part of the conversation was we were speaking about a girl being easy, and I was really trying to make the distinction that it's not the girl that's easy, it's the situation that was easy. I don't like that type of verbiage used against a woman that is just looking to engage in casual sex, just like the man was. And that's all there is to it.
Listen, I
think
I get what you're saying.
And I'm glad that you get what I'm saying. I just think that is very very old school mentality for a man to look at a woman that's looking to have casual sex and not maybe putting a lot of obstacles as being easy, because the man that's engaging in it, and the man that is engaging in that interaction, that is his end goal is to have casual sex, and then the woman gives him casual sex. Now she's easy.
Okay, but you have to understand that listen, you have to put these. I feel that you have to put men to work for this type of stuff. I feel like that, just making it easy sets a. I feel like that making this the interaction easy takes away from a man really finding the whole situation as valuable as it should be. I feel like that there's.
Well, then the man's an idiot for that.
I feel like that a lot of men are just wired that way.
Okay, well then to me, I mean, and this is my personal opinion, I think to me that sounds idiotic.
Okay.
Because if you are looking to have casual sex and then you get casual sex, now the woman has less value. That to me actually makes actual no sense. You got what you were looking for, so now the situation is valueless.
I think that when it comes to anything in life, the things that you had to work hard for are the things that you appreciate the most. I feel like the things that you acquired easily in life, they're not as greatly appreciated as the things that you had to bust your ass for in your life. And so this is the comparison that I'm making to these two. That's all.
I get what you're saying.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
There are some things in my life that I got that I didn't have to work hard for that I really value.
Okay, but I don't think you value them as much as the things you had to bust your ass for.
That's not true.
Okay, well, I'd like to hear about that at some point in time.
All right. Well, such things as gifts that I've gotten that I didn't work for.
But I don't think you value them as much as the things that you had to work
Evo,
really hard for.
I love you. I have to just leave it. I love you. But that is such a pure assumption on your part because...
I think I know you well enough to make that
That's
assumption.
fine. That I feel like... But you're assuming that I don't value these things. What gives you that... What gives you that right to say that I value... Okay, for example, this wedding ring that you gave me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? This was a gift to me, right? So are you saying that I value this less than... I don't know, a paycheck that I just had to work for? Did I busted my ass for that paycheck.
Honestly, I don't think you busted your ass as hard as you did for that paycheck as you did for that ring. I'm just going to leave it at that. But I love you.
Wow, we actually went over an hour today.
Yeah, we did.
For an episode that we said that we were going to keep it light. That got a little heated. But that's how things happen between you and I, which is fine.
You know what? There were some good ones that we still had to cover too. But
yeah, all right. Well, next week it may get heated again because we're going to talk about lies that women tell.
Part 2.
But I don't think you're gonna get as heated as I am when it comes to that because
I don't have these strong personal feelings about scenarios, and respectfully, I understand why you do. You know what I'm saying, and I'm not gonna try to take away from any of that. So I think that next week probably will go a little bit lighter. I won't have as much,
Fine, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. As always, I appreciate having this conversation with you,
Likewise.
even though God, it gets and just full disclosure, everybody that either you're watching us or listening to us, Evo and I, even though these conversations sometimes get like a little heated, it's so healthy. We never we don't stop recording and then I walk away and I'm like, I can't believe you said that.
If you ever...
I respect you for these conversations.
Yes, and likewise. If you ever remember getting into a heated discussion with your best friend, and if you got a best friend, y'all got into it. I mean, there's some topics that you went deep on, and you guys talked about your difference of opinions, and in the end, you still fly as shit as the first day you met. And so that to me is what our marriage is. Like we get into these discussions and they get heated and we talk, deep and personal about how we feel. And in the end, we walk away just better understanding each other, which I think is the ultimate goal when you have like these discussions. I mean, there were some things that I just found out. I mean, obviously I'm going to ask you about them. I want to know some of these things that you were gifted that are more valuable to you than some of the things that you busted your ass for. We're going to circle back around to that. But, it leaves the floor open for those type of things, and you get to know each other a lot better.
I would just like to say that even though I may not agree with what you're saying, I think there's a lot of value in hearing what you have to say.
I agree.
All right, so let's end there. And I want to thank everybody for being with us today, whether you are listening or you are watching. Evo and I always appreciate you. And so until next Friday, peace out.
Peace out.